West Denver. Sleep deprived and heavily caffeinated.
All right, let's do this then.
This is the Jeff and Bill Show.
I don't agree with that.
They don't always agree, but hey, at least they have coffee.
Coffee.
And each other.
Coffee, man.
God help us.
I want to bless him. We need all the help we can get.
Now here's Jeff Hunt and Bill Thorpe. The Jeff and Bill Show on News Talk 710 KNUS.
Let's kick it off. 6 a.m. in the Mile High City on this Monday, August 11th, 2025. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. You've tuned in to the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS. Special shout out, Bill, to another Bill. So I spent the weekend as the supportive campaign spouse.
Oh, you were the emotional support human.
Well, I was the eye candy.
Ah, there you go. So, in other words, you had to wear the short shorts this weekend. All right. Yeah, tell me about what you're doing, my friend.
My wife is running for office, so I was out with her and supporting her, and she was meeting people and talking and getting signatures. You got to get a certain amount of signatures to get on the ballot, all that stuff, but ran into folks that listen to the show.
Oh.
One of them being Bill.
Uh-oh.
Bill listens to Jeff and Bill.
Oh, geez. Hey, Bill. Morning. Thanks.
Morning.
Appreciate that. Oh, good. What are the bad things I said? I'm always curious about that one.
Oh, we had a great time.
Oh, good.
Good. It was the Elbert County Republican breakfast.
Oh, nice.
Or conservative breakfast. Elbert County conservative breakfast. Different. Nonpartisan. But, yeah, it was fun to be out. That was my role.
Oh, how fun.
I stood there and
said, do you want to sign this paper?
Yeah, exactly. So my wife could be on the ballot.
Those people hate me that are doing the petition gathering because I have a series of non sequiturs that, I don't want to engage you in a conversation, so I'm going to respond in a way in which there is no response that doesn't make any sense, just because by the time you figure out, the hell was that? I'm 4 steps beyond, it doesn't matter. So, yeah, it's one of those. Yeah, I use movie quotes, I use other statements and phrases that don't make absolutely any sense to the question that is being asked at the time. And inside of me, it makes me happy. I know that means nothing else.
I know
else.
It does.
Yes, it makes me happy.
And there's 2 different groups. So you have the people that are purely motivated volunteers, right? They really care about the issue. And then there's people collecting a paycheck.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I think you can treat them differently.
Yeah, you can. Yeah. Yes, you can. Yeah, we've had a couple of people wander in the neighborhoods where I live, looking for votes, things like that. People knocking on the doors, and it's funny because we've had 2 different candidates walk by the house and say hi, and I've stopped and I've talked to both of them. Neither one of them have any idea who I am that I do the show, but I don't tell them. I don't. I just say that we just have a conversation, and I just let it go. Just because the thing for me is, I want to see how you're going to interact with Joe Nothing, because I'm pretty much 1 step next to Joe Nothing. I mean, I just got my name on the show. There's nothing else that's special about me at all. So I just want to have this interaction with you as a candidate.
Bill, don't discount yourself.
No, not at all. And so I want to see how do you do it.
Radio show in Denver. Thank you, Westward.
It is wonderful, but I don't lead with that. I'm like, you know who I am. I want to see how you're dealing with people outside of that. And one of them that rolled by in the last couple of weeks was Steve the Beard, running for Aurora City Council.
Right.
Yeah, really nice conversation with him. He's just such a good dude. And again, didn't say anything about radio show or anything else. Yeah. And he and I have met a couple of times in the past.
He's been on. I think he's been on.
Oh yeah, he has. And he's and he's been out there shaking hands and pressing the flesh so much lately that he's not going to remember who I am. I'm not going to be like, hey, how you doing? No, but we just talked. What do you think the issues are? What about this? Hey, I appreciate it. Love your support. Love what you guys are doing in the city. He's like, oh, thank you very much, and let him go on his way. I don't want to take up too much of his time, but I just want to have that basic interaction.
It is a fascinating study in human activity. So, prior to 250 years ago, you were born a leader.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
You were, I am nobility.
Yes, exactly.
Bow down before me.
Yeah, because of titles and last names. And
so 250 years ago, we decided in world history that what we're going to do now is allow anybody to become a leader if they can go around and get enough people to go, you're my man.
If you have a famous last name now, you have to start businesses or be a pop star. I'm looking at you, Paris Hilton. Just saying. It's about where you're relegated to at this point. Yes.
So now our elected leaders or want to be elected leaders walk around neighborhoods and talk to people, which didn't happen prior to 250 years ago.
Yeah.
And so my wife's out just talking to folks, and you got to deal with any and every question out there.
Yeah.
And some people come. So she's running for school board.
Yeah.
School board of a small rural county.
Yeah.
And had to take a lot of questions on Donald J. Trump.
Wow. That's interesting.
So it's like, well,
it's really interesting.
He serves a very different office than I do.
Yeah,
but,
very different office. Yeah, not really mixing the two. Oh man,
so
that's interesting.
Yeah, it is. It is just you just sit back and go, this is an interesting moment in world history.
Yeah, there's a friend of the family that ran for school board and served for a number of years out on the eastern plains of Colorado. We're talking in cities like Morgan, Brush, Rickery, places like that. So it's tiny. Larger district as far as footprint, but small as far as students. And he said the one thing that he had to get used to, because again, small town, is that any time that he was out in public, it was an impromptu meeting with the constituents. And he goes, you don't have that necessarily Denver, Aurora, places like that.
Right.
But because, and again, this is a place that played 8-man football. Some places played 6-man, so they couldn't even get 11. So, that's the idea is they were such small towns that he said, he had to understand that once he ran, it was just school board. He didn't do anything else other than running for school board because it was important for him and his kids. But he said, he didn't get the fact that every time he went down, to the supply store, that it was an impromptu constituent meeting.
100%.
Yeah. Every time he was at the restaurant, an impromptu constituent meeting. Yes, he goes all the time. He goes, just had to get used to that.
And we also did an event with Rod Pelton, state senator.
Nice, yeah.
So Rod Pelton, state senator, he's been on this program. He's a state senator, Bill, where his land mass is a quarter of the state.
Oh, yeah. That's crazy. It's huge.
And he had to do a breakfast meeting. I think he had left at 4 a.m. or something like that to start there. So it was a great weekend being out with people and my wife getting to watch her interact and run for office and get the signatures. It was a lot of fun. It was a good weekend. So we're going to kick it off. We got a whole lot to talk about today. Donald J. Trump taking over Washington, D.C. He's dispatching the FBI now to take up some law enforcement roles within the city. Is he constitutionally allowed to do this? I think so. And I think it's going to be great for Washington, D.C. as a former resident of that area. Then we're going to talk with Jen Schumann and Heidi Ganahl. Wild piece out of the Rocky Mountain Voice, essentially making the argument and pointing to a lawsuit that Jared Polis is weaponizing the environmental kind of protection analysis program around oil and gas to specifically shut down the industry. Not make sure it's clean, not make sure that everything's going okay and that the oil and gas industry is following the rules. It's not about that at all. It's about throwing as many violations, as much regulation as he possibly can at these oil and gas companies to specifically seek to shut them down. And he's even said so in the latest lawsuit that's coming about this issue. So we're going to talk with Rocky Mountain Voice in the 7 o'clock hour. We're going to be joined by Alternatives Pregnancy Center in the 8 o'clock hour. They're playing golf with Tim Tebow, and you can do so as well. This is a wild opportunity. They're going to be joining us in studio. We'll also talk about how crisis pregnancy centers are responding to the increase in abortion traffic that's coming to the state of Colorado. We are right now executing 70 innocent children a day, paid for, in some cases, by taxpayers, people traveling from outside the state to Colorado. And how is Alternatives Pregnancy Center responding to all this? And then Hugo Chavez-Ray will join us in the 9 o'clock hour. He and I are hosting an event tomorrow night down in Colorado Springs, along with Scott Bottoms and Mark Baisley and others. We'll give you the insight on that in the 9 o'clock hour. Plus, Cherry Creek High School getting rid of those valedictorians. They're no longer going to recognize them. Is this just progressivism, wokeness, run amok, or an outdated program that needs to be discontinued? We'll get into that in the 9 o'clock hour. So, lots to cover today, but now it's time for News and Comment with Blake Olson.
Blake Olson.
Blake Olson, News and Comment.
Hey, good Monday morning, 56 and clear as the sun rises. Expecting a high of 84 today. This portion of the news sponsored by Pastor Camp Heating and Air Conditioning at 303-777-1234 to learn more about special savings opportunities on Lennox equipment. Our top story, DJT, will have a news conference today, and he'll not only talk about ending the crime, murder, and death in the nation's capital, but will also discuss cleanliness and the general physical renovation and condition of what 47 is, quote, our once beautiful and well-maintained capital. The president is also moving out homeless people and will give them a place to stay if they'd like it. But I'm sure he'll be attacked for that as well. A deadly motorcycle crash last night near the intersection of East Hampton and South Yosemite. Multiple vehicles involved, and a motorcycle rider was pronounced dead at the scene. DPD investigating. DJT scheduled to meet with Putin this Friday in Alaska. Ukrainian President Zelensky may also attend. We'll see. We have about 5 days before that occurs. Hopefully they can bring an end to this horrific war. We may see indictments this week to the Swamp Rats, Comey, Brennan, and Clapper, as they attempted a coup and lied to the American people about DJT in 2016. Vice President J.D. Vance on the Sunday shows.
We're sending out some subpoenas, and there are actually some active investigations I think that probably you won't be fully aware of until we announce the conclusion of those investigations. But the president has been very clear. The attorney general, the FBI director have been very clear. They are looking at law breaking. And for people who broke the law, it's not going to be a slap on the wrist. We're sorry. Have a nice life. It's going to be you've got to face consequences for it. And I really think it's our sacred obligation to the American people to ensure that those who broke the law pay the price for it.
Amen. A gunman who blamed the COVID vaccination for making him suicidal went to CDC headquarters on Friday and started shooting in Atlanta. A DeKalb County police officer was killed, and the shooter was later found dead. 5 journalists working for Al Jazeera are dead, killed on Sunday by an Israeli airstrike. Jody Ginsburg with the Committee to Protect Journalists.
Journalists are civilians and should never be targeted in war, and they must cease and desist. We also need to see far greater action from the international community.
Israel claims one of those killed was actually working with Hamas, while Al Jazeera says the strike was a targeted attack on the media in Gaza City. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker praising Texas Democrats who have fled the state in protest of redistricting efforts. Of course he is. In an interview with NBC's Meet the Press, the Democratic governor said the action these lawmakers are taking is protecting Americans, even though most people understand he's a dirty leftist and one of those the masters of the gerrymandering in Illinois. NASCAR driver Connor Zilisch, the 19-year-old, drove his number 88 Chevy to a win at Watkins Glen International in New York on Sunday. He went to celebrate by climbing onto the roof of the car, which they do after almost every race, and then he promptly fell, breaking his collarbone as he tumbled onto the victory lane.
Goodness.
Oh, man, I felt horrible for this dude. He posted later that he had been treated and released from the hospital with CT scans on his head, all clear. That's sad, man. I felt horrible for him though. They have that net in the window, and I think he got it caught up in his foot and just fell to the ground, fell to the pavement or whatever. Hard surface. Thankfully, it wasn't worse. Thank you for making me aware. That's what Kourtney Kardashian Barker responded to fans over the concerns about her toddler not wearing a life vest while boating. Wear a life vest.
Yes.
Man, come on. That's just frightening to me.
Also, you never know when the child, if your back's turned, jumps off or falls off or stumbles off.
Absolutely.
And then
Absolutely.
they could just sink, and that water's not clear, and goodness.
Anything could happen. I know I'm a worry wart when it comes to kids and stuff, but doggone, man, you got a little
We'll take
life
this
vest.
from someone who spent 5 summers as a river guide.
Yeah.
Wear a life jacket all the time you're on the water.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. River Guide. And thank God you did that for people so they could have a good time.
Best job I ever had. Love this job, but sitting on the back of a boat rafting, you don't get much better. Doesn't pay worth beans, but it's best job ever.
Best views in the world.
Hang out outside, talk to people, float.
Wow,
Go
that's
take
awesome.
on some rapids. It was awesome.
See, and then you were able. It was great training for you, so you could take the family out later in life.
Well, I always
that's
found it
awesome.
wild too that I'm like 19 and they're and the world hands you a boat full of people and it's like, hey, you get
Right?
down here safely. You grow up real quick.
Boy, you got
'Cause
that right.
You got to learn to tell people what to do.
That's why I tell people not to raft. There's a bunch of 19-year-olds up there. Have you ever met Jeff Hunt?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, I know.
No.
Especially when 19-year-old Jeff Hunt.
That's awesome, man.
Getting a stop here and forcing a field goal would be that. Nick Martin makes that tackle too late. Touchdown, Broncos.
All right, Broncos win preseason game numero uno against the Niners, 30-9. Bo Nix, 6 of 11, 31 yards. I think he played the first quarter. I don't know, maybe a couple possessions. Friday, Shadur Sanders had a great debut, 14 of 23, 138 yards, 2 touchdowns for the Browns. Completed 61% of his passes. Tough to top that. Avoided pressure 2 or 3 times. Got to keep grinding. It's a marathon, not a sprint. Cam Little.
Holy smokes. They got a shot.
He just kicked a 70-yard field goal. Are you kidding me?
Crazy.
I've never seen that. The NFL record.
He's never seen that. We've never seen that. 70 yards for the Jacksonville Jag kicker in a preseason game.
Does that count as a record?
You know what? I don't think so.
Because it's not in a regular season?
Because it's not a regular season game, but they'll acknowledge it somewhere. He'll be an asterisk somewhere. But I'm like this. If you're kicking, and I don't care if it's in a scrimmage, if you kick it 70 yards, man.
Incredible.
That is incredible.
They're pushing the boundaries of this. It's sort of like ultra running. You had a guy that ran 100 miles, and then all of a sudden a whole bunch of people are now doing 100, 250, all that stuff. I feel like these kickers can just keep going.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
I agree.
You got past 60 yards. Now we're going to 70, and
yeah, that's amazing. That's all the NFL needs is more field goals.
Well, that was going to be my question. So I remember watching Larry Davis, who is the comedian?
Oh, Larry David? Yeah.
Larry David.
Yeah.
And I think he was railing about how stupid kicking is in football.
Really?
Yeah.
Curb Your Enthusiasm? I've never seen that.
Oh, you never said, I'll send it to you. But he basically is going, here you have a sport where everything's running, and then at the last second, we're like, oh, you can win the game by kicking.
Yeah.
Running, passing. Oh, we win at the end by kicking.
Oh, field goals are stupid. They shouldn't be allowed in football.
So that's my question to you guys.
This is from a soccer player who the only way I would ever make it into the NFL would be kicking that stupid ball between the uprights. It's not a real job. It's not
Yeah,
even
so
being a real football
Bill,
player.
not a fan of kicking.
No.
All right, Blake, you.
In what other sport are you getting
Kickoffs,
points for
punting.
almost scoring?
Yeah.
It's almost
What do you
scoring.
think, Blake?
Well, I'm a historian, so if you narrowed the goalposts and made it extremely difficult, okay. I mean, field goals were designed so if you had to attempt a 35 or 40-yard field goal in the early 1900s, that would be a big deal. And then plus it's called football, so they had to throw something in there that had to do with the foot. But if they narrowed the uprights, and made it really difficult, I wouldn't have.
No,
a problem
you're not
with that.
thinking. You're not thinking hard enough, Blake. You're not really. You got to lean into your imagination here. This is the way that you make field goals worth something inside the NFL. First of all, is instead of 3 points, you make them worth 5 points. Next, here's the idea, though. You do one of two things with the uprights. Okay, there are two things that have to be done. Okay, now this will involve a little bit of machinery and engineering, but either the field goal, the bars either have to go closer and then wider, like they do, like in Mario Brothers. So so it gets closer and wider. Yeah, so they move while you're kicking, or you have to have the field goal when they start a field goal. The uprights have to spin slowly in 360 degrees. But you can only score if it goes through forward. That's it. Okay, 5 points.
Gotcha.
But let's make this thing hard. Let's do this. Because there's nothing in front of you. It's not that hard to kick a field goal.
I disagree with both y'all.
Yeah.
I love the way it's currently set up, right?
Do you?
And
What is wrong with you?
it's yeah. Well, that's par for the
He
course
was a
on this
river
show.
guide.
But yeah, that's right. But I mean, I love the fact that you can get down to like the last second and the kicker runs out and you literally have the entire weight of the game on this one dude. And if he can kick it through, he is the champion. People are running off with them on their shoulders. Or he's got to walk off and sit in the locker room with his head down, and everybody is looking at him going, you had one job. You had one. So all that pressure on one guy, and everyone's waiting there with bated breath as they watch the football. It is poetic. I love it.
Why wouldn't you want to, if you want to amp it up and if you like that drama, make it more difficult? Go with the moving goalposts. Imagine the drama there. I mean, you want to amp this drama up to 11? Go with my idea here, the moving goalposts. That's going to really create something here. This is going to
you're
really
right.
make this hard.
I could see the faces of the players if you had that moving goalpost.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it would be so entertaining for them.
Oh, it would be.
I mean, they'd be into it more than the fans would.
Oh, absolutely. There's a whole timing thing. Yeah. I mean,
Right.
it's fantastic.
Okay, so I'll be okay adding that, but think about most of the rest of the football game is runs for 3 yards. Up to the right, runs for 4 yards. And then in the last 10 seconds of the game, you have all this drama, the freezing of the kicker, the icing of him, and is he going to make it, and how was he? And he's this dorky little guy compared to everybody else that they just shuffle out there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You
I
got
love the drama of it.
Yeah, you got to make it harder. Got to make the field goals more difficult. And again, how more interesting would it be to the kids that are playing the video games if those field goals were more like the video games? Something where like, I've had to do this. That's what you need to do.
So
You need to make
funny,
it that
man.
way. And then you've got something. Until then, it's an almost score. It's like basketball giving you a couple of points if you hit the backboard. It's just dumb. It just doesn't make any sense at all. It's like it would be like if baseball gave you half a point if you got a foul ball. Like, it's not really good. It's an almost score. That's why I don't like it. The whole thing is about getting a touchdown, and then like, well, I can't possibly get it far enough. I'm just gonna kick it. What the hell? Where did this come from? I don't know. But yeah, they're gonna start kicking further and further back because their technique's better.
What would be
right?
what would be really entertaining is if you had an offensive lineman, if you opt to let him kick a 25 or 35 yarder instead, that would be entertaining. You know, just punch it straight
sort
on
of like that.
a 350 pounder.
Yeah.
You know, just trying to get it barely over the crossbar.
Oh, yeah.
That would be exciting too. okay, we'll give you 5 points. You can kick it from 53 yards with your all-pro kicker, or we'll give you an option. You could kick a 20-yarder with your left guard, the 360-pounder, and it would be almost impossible for him to hit
We're
it.
in Kim
But it would
Jong-un world right now. Did you ever hear about how he changed basketball rules?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We're like in
right.
the last 30 seconds, baskets are worth like 30 points. Or
Yeah.
Yes, it is like that.
Although,
Absolutely.
Jeff, you were talking about rugby. There is something where, okay, I could see if we're talking about, a couple of points, 2-3 points for getting it through the uprights and narrow the uprights, but allow them to kick on the run like they do in rugby. So you complete a 30-yard pass, and that wide receiver turns around and sees the defensive back closing on him, and he just turns and goes, boom, and kicks it through the uprights. 3 points. Turn around, kick it off. Now I've got something there. Now you made it really exciting. Now
I'm
I think
sorry,
you know that.
man. This stuff is great. I'm just cracking up the
hilarious.
visuals
Yeah.
of this.
Oh, the visual's
man.
fantastic.
You think it would improve the ratings? I don't think it could, though. Honestly,
I don't think
the
you can
ratings
improve the ratings,
are so high.
but
Yeah.
it would make it more of a spectacle, and that's kind of the idea. Is
Yeah.
I've heard people talk about the idea of how they don't like the new kickoff rule because you don't get that vicious car crash at the beginning
Right.
because of the spectacle. Well,
Yeah.
let's lean into the spectacle. Let's move those
That's
goalposts. Let's let them kick the ball
I mean,
live during the
speaking
game.
of spectacles, I sold out Savannah Bananas over the weekend.
Yes, I
at
had friends
Coors
that went to
Field.
that. That was nuts. You see the
I
pictures,
tried
the stadium?
to get
I
tickets.
saw the photos,
Man.
Yeah, I gave
cool.
up trying to get tickets a few weeks ago because I saw how expensive they were, but the photos
Right.
were amazing. Yeah, I
What
had
do you
friends
think
that
you
drove
do
down
as
from
the,
Wyoming.
as the course, as the Rockies owners at this point?
Oh, geez.
You're like, oh, okay, a bunch of guys dancing around, sold out.
Yeah, sold out, and it was the featured thing of the weekend because they did stuff outside the stadium. You had stuff downtown, restaurants in
Dude,
Lodo.
I follow
had
Jesse,
themed,
the
pieces.
founder of all this. I follow him. This guy is amazing.
brilliant.
He's a genius. It's
absolutely
Yeah,
brilliant.
that's awesome.
It's awesome to watch.
Speaking of the Rockies, they lost their 7th straight Sunday,
surprise.
13th.
Surprise!
13-6 to the Diamondbacks. At the Cards tonight, 5:45, 52 in Castle Rock, 53 in Arvada, 56 in Denver. Jeff and Billy continue, and Billy is ready to move the goalposts back and forth. I love it. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
The Denver forecast is early Monday. A few clouds this morning, temperatures in the mid-50s by daybreak. Then for the rest of your Monday, sunny skies, highs around 85. Overnight lows down to 60. Tuesday, highs around 90 with mostly sunny skies. Weather brought to you by L&L Heating and Air Conditioning. For quick, trustworthy, and dependable service, call L&L Heating and Air Conditioning at 720-851-1691. Visit them online at bestdenverhvac.com. That's bestdenverhvac.com. You'll be comfortable with L&L. I'm day weather meteorologist Patrice Sutter in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Just posted on Truth Social, DJT, Washington, D.C. will be liberated today. Crime, savagery, filth, and scum will disappear. I will make our capital great again. The days of ruthlessly killing or hurting innocent people are over. I quickly fixed the border. 0 illegals in the last 3 months. D.C. is next. Thank you for your attention to this matter. President Donald J. Trump. So what does he want to do? Well, in part, Donald Trump wants to dispatch the FBI. The Washington Post reporting FBI dispatching agents to D.C. streets as Trump weighs calling National Guard. The FBI has begun dispatching agents in overnight shifts to help local law enforcement prevent carjackings and violent crime in Washington, according to 2 people familiar with the matter. As President Donald Trump threatens a federal takeover of the nation's capital and considers calling up the National Guard. So can Donald Trump do this to Washington, D.C.? Well, constitutionally, I think he can. Where did Washington, D.C. come from? It comes from Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17. This is what it says. To exercise exclusive legislation in all cases whatsoever over such district not exceeding 10 miles square as may, by cession of particular states, and the acceptance of Congress become the seat of the government of the United States. So the history here is kind of wild. Congress has complete authority over a federal district that serves as the nation's capital. The area can be up to 10 miles by 10 miles, so 100 square miles. It was created by ceding land. And the debate around this and the founding of this was kind of interesting, okay? So in 1783, when the Continental Congress was meeting in Philadelphia, there was what was called the Philadelphia Mutiny of 1783. It was a group of unpaid Revolutionary War soldiers who surrounded Independence Hall demanding back pay. They were angry, and they surrounded Continental Congress. Kind of sounds like something else that happened. Angry people showing up. The Pennsylvania state government refused to call out the militia to protect Congress. Congress had to flee to Princeton, New Jersey as a result of it, and the event deeply embarrassed the young nation. So you had the Philadelphia Mutiny and the fact that the Continental Congress couldn't control their own safety, so they wanted to create land. But remember, this was a debate over 13 states, and they didn't want to necessarily give one power to the one particular state to control Congress. And so that's part of the background as to why the federal government has its own land. It's 10 by 10 own land. We're going to continue this conversation, but we want to get an update on President Trump set to meet with Russian Vladimir Putin in just a few days. White House correspondent John Decker joining us with the latest. This is a big meeting up in Alaska. John, thank you for taking time to join the Jeff and Bill show.
Thank you.
Well, thanks for having me on. You know, it's interesting because we still don't know where this meeting will actually take place. We know it's going to be in Alaska. Is it going to be in Anchorage? Is it going to be in Juneau? We still don't know that. I need to know that because I'm going to cover this summit this coming Friday. We also know it's going to be, as things stand right now, a bilateral summit, not a trilateral summit, meaning that it's just going to be Trump and Putin, not President Zelensky at this point. And we'll see whether between now and Friday, President Zelensky receives an invitation to attend this meeting.
That's John Decker, White House correspondent, joining us. And Alaska's a big state. In fact, there's still missing lawmakers that have never been found. The House Majority Leader, for once, disappeared in a plane crash up in Alaska. So yeah, figuring out where they're going to be and all that stuff, that's kind of important. This seems to be moving very quickly. Can you tell us about that?
Well, it is moving quickly. You know, the president announced that he would be imposing secondary tariffs on Russia. That was supposed to take place this past Friday. And I think that's one of the things that pushed Putin to request this meeting with President Trump. That and what President Trump announced last week, which was this idea. Actually, I shouldn't say last week. It was last month when he said that NATO countries, if they wish to purchase weapons and military equipment and military ammunition, they can do so. And then if they wish to do so, convey that to Ukraine. That decision by President Trump essentially made the war for Putin unwinnable. Those two things pushed him to the negotiating table.
Now, John Decker, NBC White House correspondent, I want to know why Alaska? What have you heard about why they're choosing Alaska? If they're going to come to the U.S., why not Camp David, or why even choose the U.S. at all? What are you hearing?
Well, you know, if you were to do an AI search or a Google search, you would find that the distance between Moscow and Anchorage and the distance between Washington, D.C. and Anchorage, it's exactly equidistant. So maybe that's one reason why they chose it. The other reason you have to factor in is that because of the ICC, the International Criminal Court, and an arrest warrant that is out for Vladimir Putin, there weren't many countries in the world in which such a meeting like this one could take place. The U.S., in the sense that it is not a member of the ICC, is one of those countries. And so that may answer your question as to why it's taking place in Alaska.
John Decker, White House correspondent. So Zelensky not confirmed to be a part of this, but it looks like it's the United States trying to include him?
Well, we'll see. They're getting a lot of pressure from the Secretary General of NATO, Mark Rutte, and our NATO allies as well, including a number of the president's counterparts in the NATO Defense Alliance, to include President Zelensky in this upcoming meeting.
Well, it's likely John Decker may be traveling up there to cover all this, and we'll continue to check in with him later this week. John Decker, White House correspondent, thank you so much for your time today, sir.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
So I want to get back to
DC.
Washington, D.C., and we're at the mercy of John's schedule because he's such an important guy. He's a White House correspondent, sat on the White House press correspondent board. So we take him when we can get him. So
when he's available, we will take
John
him.
Decker.
Yes.
So let's go back to Washington, D.C., why it was created. Okay? So you have this incident that takes place in 1783 where Congress can't defend itself. They're trying to meet, and a whole bunch of angry, unpaid Revolutionary War soldiers show up, and the governor of Pennsylvania is like, meh, you're on your own. They end up having to flee to Princeton, New Jersey in order to get away from these guys. So they're like, all right, we're never going to be stuck again in a place where we can't defend ourselves. We're going to be in control of the land, of the military, whoever is going to be defending us, but we're not going to leave it up to the state and a governor that may not like us. All right, so now you have 13 states. Now remember, 13 states aren't getting along all that well. They got along well enough to be able to fight England in the Revolutionary War, but they're not all buddy-buddy. And you're having big debates over the formation of this nation and the Great Compromise, the House of Representatives, the Senate, how much power, who's going to have most power, all that stuff taking place. So they're like, well, we can't just hand it to a state. If we do that, then one state can have a lot of control over Congress. They could, for instance, levy taxes. If you end up with one state that doesn't like what's happening, like tax Congress itself or the sales that are taking place in this district, okay? So they need to cede some land from each other. Then you get into the debate over, well, is it northern land or southern land? And remember, slavery is still a big issue being debated at this point. So which state's going to give up the land and where's the capital going to be? Southern states not liking it if it's so far north, and northern states not liking it if it's so far south. So they kind of compromise, all put it right there, part of Maryland, part of Virginia. And it's established in 1790 with the Residence Act. George Washington personally selected the site. Land from both states was ceded to the federal government. Congress took exclusive legislative authority in 1801. So yes, federal government has a tremendous amount of power over Washington, D.C. Now, they would later give the people of Washington, D.C. the ability to choose their mayor and city council people. But when it comes to overall authority of Washington, D.C., Congress has incredible power. Now, if you live anywhere near the district, you'll notice that there's a certain license plate that's on that says no taxation without representation. And it's a protest because the people of Washington, D.C. feel that they are taxed without proper representation. Now, Washington, D.C. would love full representation. In fact, they would like to become the 51st state. They would like their own governor, members of Congress, and senators. Now, that's not going to happen, in part because of the political makeup.
Yeah, and that's really what they want. Yeah, they really want that senators. The whole idea of everything else is, in my mind, irrelevant. They want national representation. And that is pushed in large part by Democrats who understand that the core part of the city, the people that stay there, the people that stay there year in and year out are going to be primarily Democrat voters. And so, yeah, they're looking for power. Just like, oh, yeah, the gerrymandering thing that's going all over the place. Right. Same thing. Again, this is the old argument about, I just want more power. Now, continue.
Donald Trump is taking a strong hand towards Washington, D.C. I think he can do this constitutionally. I think he has the power to do it. And I think Republicans in Congress will allow him to do that. Now, what I find fascinating in all of this, Mr. Thorpe, is pretty much every major city in the country is run by Democrats.
Yeah.
Pretty much everyone. I think Dallas may be Republican, but for the most part, they're all Democrat run. So now we as a country are going to see what happens when a major city is not just kind of run by a Republican, but is going to be run by a Donald Trump Republican, a no-nonsense, tackle the problems. I think his analogy to the border is spot on. This is going to be a fascinating moment to see what happens to Washington, D.C. when it's run by a Republican, a major city run by a Republican. I'm excited to see what's going to happen.
Yeah, the thing for me, I mean, you could say that Denver, I don't know. I guess what I'm looking at is a couple of things on this one. One, from what I'm reading and hearing from the Constitution and how things were set up, that it's Congress, not the White House, that necessarily has purview over D.C.
That's an important distinction.
Yeah, so Donald Trump, again, this is what I get a question. How does Trump come in being the chief executive and take over D.C. and set this up? Now, if Congress wanted to give him the power and set this up, then I think you've got something. If not, I think he ends up stepping over constitutional boundaries, primarily because of the Congress part of the entire equation. But Congress doesn't care. We've seen this before. We've seen Donald Trump declare more than 30 emergencies so far since the beginning of his term this time around. Imagined emergencies, completely pretend. And so this is another one that he declares a pretend emergency and then decides he's going to do this. The question I've got on this one, what's the FBI going to do? Because they're not trained in rank and file law enforcement. So it's not like they're going to be good at stopping the carjackings. They're not going to be, that's not their purview to stop the shoplifting. They're not going to be good cleaning up the homeless. That's not the role of what the FBI does. They don't have rank and file. So I'm curious how Donald Trump's going to do it. And the other part is, what do we think the result is going to be? Are we looking for lower crime? Because we already have that in D.C. I mean, crime's already dropping and dropped over the past year. So what is going to be the goal and how do we measure it? Because crime's already going down. Violent crime's down 30% from 2023 to 2024.
Why is that?
I don't know. But again, I would assume more enforcement and some other stuff. But again, that's prior to the Trump administration. That would be when the crazy libs are running things. I mean, they released, even the Department of Justice released homicides down 32%, robberies down 39%, armed carjackings down 53%, assaults with a dangerous weapon were down 27%, and that's in 2024 compared to 2023 levels. Violent crime was at its lowest rate in 30 years. There are some spikes, there are some increases.
In D.C.?
Yeah, in D.C.
In D.C., yeah. But Maryland's dealing with big problems, though.
I know, but he's not taking over Maryland.
Right, but
yeah,
so
we're talking D.C.
In some communities, yeah, it's going down. And my question is why? And it's likely stronger enforcement. So why wouldn't you want more enforcement?
But if D.C. is such a crime-ravaged place right now, we see the people that we say right now can't do it and aren't in charge and aren't doing enough, and we see drops. So it's hard to make the case that crime is out of control because these crazy libs are letting everybody do things, yet you see violent crime at the lowest level in D.C. in 30 years. While the libs are running it. I'm not saying the libs are doing a good job. What I'm saying is when you start with the premise of crime out of control and the numbers from the Justice Department say down 30% and the lowest violent crime rate in 30 years, it's hard to start at the place of crime out of control.
The problem with that analysis is that you assume that the drop is somehow means that it's peaceful. So the city of Washington, D.C. is so bad.
Yeah.
And then you look at a drop and you go, well, we don't need help, because the assumption there is that it's peaceful. We got to get to a break here. But you're welcome to join the conversation. Give us a call, 303-696-1971. For me, this is a moment of incredible historic opportunity for Republicans to show what Republican leadership of a major city will look like, because everywhere else it's run by Democrats, and you got real problems. All right, we'll continue. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Wake up, Denver. There's no better place to start your morning than IHOP, where the pancakes are fluffy, the coffee is hot, and the smiles are endless. Wednesday, August 27th, join Jeff and Bill as they broadcast their show live from IHOP at 1595 South Colorado Boulevard in Denver. You're officially invited to be part of the excitement. Come grab your favorite breakfast and watch the Jeff and Bill show in action from 6 to 10 a.m. Don't forget to try the special Jeff and Bill breakfast. Pancakes, any style eggs, and crispy bacon, all for just $7.10. It's a deal as good as their hot takes. All they need is you. Bring your appetite, bring your friends, and kick off your day with great food and great conversation. See you Wednesday, August 27th at IHOP.
Time on the Monday morning you're all looking forward to. You choose the news.
Yes, it's that time of the morning we play America's favorite Faker Radio News game show. It's You Choose the News. I've spent moments this morning scouring the interwebs for really dumb stories about us humans, giving them even more ridiculous headlines so that we can play this Faker Radio News game show. Why would we do this? Well, as you know, nobody in charge is awake until 7 a.m. And just like our parents found out in high school, when Jeff and I are left unsupervised, questionable decisions are made. Alrighty, as always, you bring somebody in as the partner in crime, and that is Blake Olson, who joins us from the news department. Gentlemen, your stories this morning. Headline number 1, a John Denver tune. Headline number 2, crazy made-up death. Headline number 3, bromance. And headline number 4, one for the road. Mr. Hunt, your choice.
John Denver tune, please.
Yes, a John Denver tune. Now, here's the deal. We find ourselves in California for this, and 75-year-old Jason Hong is very, very concerned. He doesn't understand what's going on. Somebody keeps stealing his 1958 Cessna Skyhawk. It's a single-engine plane that someone keeps stealing from Corona Municipal Airport. Several times over the previous couple of years, he shows up at the airport to fly his plane, and no one can find it. Oftentimes, they find it at a different airport. It's been spotted at the Laverne Police Department. Found it located at Brackett Field Airport, about 25 miles east of Corona Municipal Airport recently. And other joyrides have taken it even further, but every time he shows up, plane's always in really good shape. The weird thing is, Jason doesn't know why someone is taking his plane. In fact, he wanted to make sure no one could last time, and he took out the battery. The plane was gone next time he went to the airport. The person that's stealing it knew how to reinstall the battery and flew it somewhere else. In fact, installed a brand new battery.
Of John Denver.
In fact, installed a brand new battery and left brand new headphone sets in the inside. He said, other than like trash and some cigarette butts, not a big deal. Person maintains the plane. He's like, I just don't understand why they keep stealing it and taking it and going somewhere. Not even paying for the fuel and everything. Doing everything they should, just borrowing the plane.
You know, you can set an alert on your phone for a particular tail number.
Yeah, he has that, but again, it can't stop the thing before it leaves and things. So
figure
I
out
know.
He
just can't figure it out. Alrighty. Now, Blake Olson, crazy made up death, bromance, or one for the road?
Let's go bromance.
Yeah, bromance. This is an interesting one. Oh, remember, when you are seeking advice online for health topics, don't trust the source always. A 60-year-old man who has a history of studying nutrition in college just tried a health experiment recently. He would eliminate all the chlorine from his diet. That meant even eliminating sodium chloride. That is table salt. What was he going to do? He replaced it with sodium bromide. Yeah, he obtained information about that being a good way over the internet. Well, not so much. In fact, bromism can lead to some serious consequences, including paranoia and dementia. He showed up at the hospital being a little crazy and having some internal problems because of too much bromide. It takes you several days to get bromide poisoning out of your system. Final choice, Jeff, your choice, sir. Crazy made up death or one for the road?
One for the road.
One for the road. Memphis, Tennessee. A Tennessee man is accused of shooting his wife. That's not it. Also stopping for beer on his way of taking her to the hospital for treatment. He needed something on the road. So he's being investigated for not only shooting her, but also stopping for a
We'll get there eventually, honey.
Yes.
All right, you're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is 710 KNUS.